everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video I thought I'd just run through all of my drawing supplies for graphite and charcoal, and I'll leave all the materials in the description below so that you can easily find them yourself as well. So I've done a video before on coloured pencil materials that I own and also for the painting supplies that I have, but I haven't done one yet for the graphite and charcoal, and I get a lot of questions asking what materials I use. So I'm just quickly going to run through all of the materials that I commonly use. So the first materials that I use are the Derwent graphic pencils. So these are graphite pencils and they're fairly cheap, they're fairly inexpensive, and these were the first graphite pencils that I ever got and started using, and I still use them today. I really like them, and I tend to use more of the lighter grades, so like the H, 2H and stuff like that. I don't tend to go above say a 2B because I don't like a lot of shine in my drawings. That's why I like to use charcoal as well. But this range does go up to a 9B if you want it. So here's just a few of the ones that I commonly use, and I don't really know where the other ones are because I don't really use them, but so they're just really good. As you can see, they're really worn down because I use them lots and lots. So these are really good, especially if you're a beginner and you want to use ones that are slightly better quality but still in your price range. I really recommend these. I think they're really good. I also have these graphite pencils, which are the Kimberly graphite pencils, and I don't use these as much as the Derwent ones, but I do like to use a few of the lighter grade pencils for light shading. So again, I like to use the 2H, H and stuff like that. And again, these are just really nice graphite pencils as well. They are a bit scratchier than the Derwent pencils, so I would prefer the Derwent pencils. But yeah, I use these sometimes if I don't have the correct grade in the Derwent pencils. I just like to grab these and they do the job as well. So the next materials that I use are my charcoal pencils, and as I always say, I love charcoal because you don't get any shine on your drawings, and shine is a big deal for me. I really don't like having realistic drawings but then when you turn them they reflect a lot of shine. I just think it doesn't look as appealing and it just makes your drawings look a little less realistic. So I like to use charcoal pencils for the darker values, and I'm using the General's charcoal pencils. So you can get them in different grades. So I have like the extra hard pencil, which is really hard, so you can get it for all the little details, and I have all the different grades up until a 6B, which is extra soft, and I love this for the really dark areas and also to make some charcoal powder, which I like to apply using like a brush or a cotton bud and stuff like that for the softer shading. So again, I love charcoal pencils for darker values because they don't reflect any shine. You don't get any shine with charcoal pencils. They can be a little bit more messy, but once you get used to them, you can kind of figure out what you can do to avoid getting mess all over your drawings, and especially if you work in one area and then work your way around the drawing so that you're not like rubbing your hand everywhere. It doesn't have to be as messy as a lot of people think, and I never find the messiness of charcoal a big deal. So those are the charcoal pencils I use. Again, they're not too expensive. You can get quite a big range of them for about £10 or £15, which I don't know what the currency is for other countries, but for considering that you're getting quite a large set of the charcoal pencils, they are fairly inexpensive. But charcoal pencils tend to be quite inexpensive anyway. So another couple of pencils I have are a carbon pencil, and this is the hard one, and I don't know what brand this is from, so they're just carbon pencils. And again, I like carbon pencils because they don't give any shine off, so they're also a bit harder than a charcoal pencil because charcoal pencils are quite soft. So this means that you can get a bit more control with a carbon pencil, but you also don't get the shine, and it also gives you dark values. So carbon pencils are a really good option as well. You can just Google them. It doesn't really matter what brand you have. I can't remember where I got this one from. I think it just came in a drawing set, to be honest. But I do like this one, and I definitely think I'm going to order some more carbon pencils. And also I'm using the Kimberly 9XXB graphite pencil. So this is a graphite pencil by General's, and what's unusual about this is that even though it's a graphite pencil, this one doesn't give you any shine whatsoever. So this gets really dark values and it doesn't leave the shine, so you can use it with your graphite pencils and yeah, it doesn't get any shine, so you can do all the dark values. So sometimes if you mix the graphite and charcoal together, charcoal doesn't go over the top of graphite, so it can be difficult to use them in conjunction with each other. You have to be really careful how you're using them. But for this is great because you don't get the shine, you can get the really dark values, and you can work it and layer it with other graphite pencils. So yeah, like I said, I'll leave a link to them all in the description below if you want to check them out. So when your pencils get a bit too small, you don't want to get rid of them. You want to make the most out of all of your pencils because they can be expensive. So what I like to use is a pencil extender, and I just got these really cheaply off Amazon. They're no particular brand, and what you basically do is you get one of your really small pencils like this. You can see that it will be really hard to write with this individually, so you just put it in the top of the pencil extender, pull this up to tighten it, and then you've got an extended length that you can work with. So these are really handy to have, not just for graphite and charcoal pencils, but for colour pencils and anything like that, because you really do want to make the most out of all of your pencils and be able to use them until they're really tiny. So when it comes to blending graphite and charcoal, I like to use a few different things. So firstly, I like to use tortillons and stumps, which are quite common for graphite and charcoal drawing. So the stump is more like compressed paper, so it's kind of been squished together rather than a tortillon, which is more rolled paper. So I don't know if you can see, but this is more compressed and this is just paper that's been rolled over. And they're really handy to use, especially for the little details, because you can get them in all different sizes. So I like to do this when I'm like shading the iris or just little details and stuff like that. And they're great for areas where you don't need to get a massive amount of smoothness to them, so you can just soften areas out. But for areas where I want to get it really soft or I want to cover a larger area, so for example skin, I just like to use a bit of tissue because this will cover a large area and get a really smooth finish. And also for slightly smaller areas, I like to use cotton buds. So I've got other videos where I show you guys how to blend graphite and charcoal and stuff like that. So I'll link a card up above so that you can check out how I blend my graphite and charcoal. So one of the most important things for drawing is the paper that you're using. And a lot of YouTubers I notice kind of miss out the paper and leave it out of their materials section. And it can be really frustrating. I know when I started to do drawing, I really wanted to know what paper everyone was using, and it was so hard to find out what people were using because it's a material that kind of gets overlooked. But it is extremely important what paper you're using because of the tooth of the paper and stuff like that. So the paper that I use is the Strathmore Bristol Plate Surface Finish, and it's the 500 series. So as you can see, it's the where is it? Plate Surface Finish, and this one is the most expensive out of this range because it's the 500 series. But if you're a beginner, I don't recommend going straight away for the 500 series. Just go for something like the 300 series, which is a lot cheaper. I'll link that as well in the description as a cheaper alternative to the one I use. And once you're comfortable using that and you want to start, selling your drawings or doing more archival drawings that you want to like sell and stuff, you can go and start to upgrade to something like the 400 and the 500 series. But again, for quality, they're all very similar. The 300 series will be really good as well. So I definitely recommend that if you're a beginner. I like this paper because, again, it's got a really smooth finish, which means that when you're doing portraits and you want to get smooth blending, it's so easy on this paper because it's a really soft texture. It's got near enough no texture. It's just really smooth and it's just so easy to blend. So when it comes to erasing the graphite and charcoal, there are a few different things that I like to use. So the first thing is a kneaded eraser, and I honestly don't know where mine is at the moment. I can't find it, but I'll link what a kneaded eraser I use. And kneaded erasers are amazing for lightly raising areas, so you don't get such a harsh area that's being lifted up. It just lightly kind of picks up some of the graphite and just lightly lightens up that area basically. Another thing that I like to use is the Tombow Mono Eraser, which is great for little fine details. So it's a really tiny eraser and you can just use that for any little highlights or also little strands of hair and stuff like that. So any little details that you want to erase and really lighten up and get more of a harsh erasing from, then you can just use this. Or if you want to get some really tough graphite off, then you can use an electric eraser. So this is the Derwent electric eraser. And because it's electric, it's going to be able to pick up even more of the graphite. So those are the erasers that I like to use. So kneaded erasers to just lighten areas, the Tombow Mono Eraser for details and highlighting, and the Derwent electric eraser if I really need to try and remove all of that graphite off of the paper. And the last thing that I like to use, which is one of the most important things, is the sharpener. So when you want to sharpen your pencils, it's important to get them to a really sharp point, and so I like to use the Derwent Super Point sharpener. And what I love about this is that it actually works so well on charcoal pencils as well. For any of you that try sharpening charcoal pencils, you'll probably know that a lot of the time they can crumble or break and they're really, really sensitive and fragile. But honestly, I've been sharpening a lot of charcoal pencils with this and they haven't broke. Even the 6B pencil, which is the really, really soft one, didn't break and it got it really sharp. So I love using this sharpener. It's a crank handle manual sharpener and I use it for my graphite, charcoal and my coloured pencils. It works well for all of them and gets a really, really sharp point. Again, it's not too expensive. It's not as expensive as, say, an electric sharpener, and it does a really, really good job at sharpening all of the pencils. So I definitely recommend this sharpener. I'll be doing a review where I'll be showing you guys how to sharpen and the types of points that you can get using this sharpener really soon. So make sure you subscribe if you don't want to miss out on that one. So yeah, that's the sharpener I use, and I think that's everything. So that is all the materials that I use for the graphite and charcoal drawing. You really don't need many different supplies. You can just have one set of graphite and charcoal pencils, a razor, and then a sharpener, a piece of paper, and you can really do quite a lot with that. You don't need loads of fancy supplies to do a great realistic drawing. But anyway, that's all the supplies that I use. I hope you enjoyed that video, and again, all the materials are linked below if you want to check any of them out. I will see you guys in my next video. If you're new to my channel and you enjoyed this video and want to see new tutorials every week, then make sure you hit that subscribe button and tick that bell icon so that you get notified of all of my new videos. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!